Drug Administration, FDA. What the FDA does. The FDA is a federal agency within the Department of Health and Human Services. Its primary job is to protect public health by ensuring the safety, efficacy, and security of human and veterinary drugs, biological products, and medical devices. It is also responsible for ensuring the safety of the nation's food supply, cosmetics, and products that emit radiation. Who is in charge? The FDA is currently led by Commissioner Marty Makary, MD, MPH. He has been serving in this role since April 2025. Budgetary situation. The FDA is facing some significant budget constraints and structural changes for fiscal year 2026. Budget cuts. The FY 2026 budget requests $6.8 billion, which is a decrease of $271 million, about 3.9%, compared to FY 2025. This includes an 11.5% reduction in their direct budget authority. Staff reductions. The agency is cutting back on federal bureaucracy, which includes a decrease of nearly 1,940 full-time equivalent, FTE, employees. Reliance on user fees. To keep operating and reviewing products, the FDA relies heavily on user fees paid by the medical and pharmaceutical industries. For 2026, $3.6 billion of their budget comes directly from these fees. Consolidation. Because of the tighter budget, the FDA is streamlining shared functions that were previously duplicated across different offices, like IT and communications, rather than going through a massive reorganization. The United States Postal Service, USPS. What the USPS does. The USPS is an independent agency of the executive branch responsible for providing postal service to the United States, including its insular areas and associated states. It is legally obligated to serve all Americans, regardless of geography, at uniform price and quality. Who is in charge? The USPS is currently led by Postmaster General David Steiner. He took over the role on July 15, 2025, succeeding former Postmaster General Louis DeJoy. Steiner previously served as the CEO of Waste Management. Budgetary situation. The Postal Service is dealing with severe compounding financial problems. According to their fiscal year 2026 integrated financial plan and recent quarterly reports. Massive losses. The USPS experienced a net loss of $9 billion in FY 2025. In just the first quarter of FY 2026, they reported a net loss of $1.3 billion. They are projecting an $8.1 billion net loss for the entirety of FY 2026, running out of cash. Postmaster General Steiner has warned that without legislative and administrative reforms, such as raising the agency's $15 billion statutory debt limit, the USPS could run out of money entirely by early 2027. Declining mail volume. While package delivery remains competitive, traditional mail volume continues to drop. The 2026 plan projects a decline of 7.2 billion pieces of mail, a 6.6% drop from 2025. Rising costs. The agency is struggling with spending hikes, including a recent $634 million increase in workers' compensation costs, while operating revenue continues to shrink. The legacy of Delivering for America, the 10-year overhaul plan initiated by former PMG DeJoy, aimed at making the agency break even by 2023, has fallen significantly short of its financial targets, leading to ongoing clashes between postal leaders, lawmakers, and stakeholders over how to fix the deficit.
Can we get a two-page spread about the FDA, please? And yes, can we highlight the two-page spread about the FDA, please? And can we highlight the head of the FDA and basically the budget and any part of the budget that, let's do a highlight of what percentage of the fees and stuff are paid by pharmaceutical companies and companies that put money in having to do with that are publicly traded or BlackRock owned or partially BlackRock owned. Basically, let's track all of our money. Thank you. It's a bone. Everything is insidious coming out. HIPAA is not happy about you because my gastrointestinal issues and others against children.
Aircraft carrier. So there's been.
Here's a layout for a two-page spread, breaking down the agency's structure, its funding mechanisms, and the institutional capital flowing behind it. Page 1. The architecture and the ledger. Subject. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA. Current leadership. Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary. The hybrid ledger. The FDA's operational budget is a complex mechanism. Unlike many federal agencies that are sustained entirely by taxpayer dollars, the FDA relies heavily on a dual revenue stream. For fiscal year 2026, the agency's total budget is approximately $6.8 billion. Where that money comes from represents a significant shift in how federal regulatory bodies operate. Congressional appropriations, public, roughly 51% of the total operating budget. Corporate user fees, private, industry, roughly 49% of the total operating budget, approximately $3.6 billion projected for 2026. The PDUFA mechanism. The modern FDA funding structure is built on the Prescription Drug User Fee Act, PDUFA, originally passed in 1992. Under this system, pharmaceutical companies are required to pay millions of dollars in user fees directly to the FDA to fund the salaries and infrastructure required to review their new drug applications. While user fees make up about half of the FDA's overall budget, they are highly concentrated. Within the FDA's specific Center for Human Drug Review, corporate user fees account for over 65% of the department's operating budget. Page 2. Tracking the money. The corporate loop. The institutional layer. To trace the origin of the $3.6 billion in user fees fueling the FDA, the lens must pull back to the ownership structures of the pharmaceutical companies writing the checks. The world's largest pharmaceutical entities, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Merck, and Eli Lilly, are publicly traded corporations. Their largest shareholders are not individuals, but the Big Three institutional asset managers, Vanguard, State Street, and BlackRock. Common ownership. Institutional investors like BlackRock manage trillions of dollars in assets and hold massive stakes across the entire healthcare sector simultaneously. To avoid aggressive antitrust scrutiny, an entity like BlackRock typically keeps its direct holdings in any single pharma firm under a 10% threshold, often sitting between 5% and 8%. Collective power. However, collectively, these massive institutional asset managers often own 20% or more of the major brand name pharmaceutical giants. BlackRock's index funds and ETFs, such as the iShares U.S. Pharmaceuticals ETF, hold hundreds of millions of dollars in shares of the very companies paying the FDA. The capital flow. The ecosystem of modern drug approval operates in a continuous, self-reinforcing financial loop. 1. Institutional investment. Trillions in capital, managed by massive firms like BlackRock, flow into the stock of publicly traded pharmaceutical companies. 2. Regulatory funding. Those pharmaceutical companies utilize...
Can we just get a wonderful 2-page spread about this, or 4, whatever you need, to examine this and basically lay it out as well as you can, showing that 25%, basically the voting block is hard to explain, said Quinn, thinks you're right. After all, it's getting difficult because so many of our governmental agencies are so mixed with the private and / corporate entities and their funding distributions that it makes it difficult to know how to fix the system. Can we please put in some kind of clause describing that situation? Said Tanya would like to be quoted saying what she just said. Thank you, said Quinn. To bee's knees, said your dad. He likes it, he does. He thinks something happened to him. Connect. We need to wash our hair, said everybody thinks we do.
Here's a layout for the next spread, mapping out the complexities of the voting blocks and the funding overlap. I've highlighted the core dilemma and included Tonya's quote exactly as requested to drive the point home. Page 1. The entangled state. Public oversight and private capital. The 25% institution...
Okay, great. Can we please get this as a 2-page spread? I love it. Flushing out of the system is not nice, said Bob Saget. Hates him. Hates that he had to pay into it. He didn't. He thinks everybody does. He didn't understand everything is this big. Everything is big, 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 big. Bigger than big, and that's why Mike does not know what to do about it tonight. Let me just want to come in with things to talk about. Mike gets to talk. Space ahead.
Your PDF file is ready. I have laid out the information as a stylized 2-page spread that traces the corporate funding loop and highlights the quote exactly as requested. The document maps out the flow of capital from institutional investors like BlackRock through the PDUFA user fee mechanism and clearly explains the difficulty of.
Oh my God. That's what the problem is, said Rod. And there's no way to detach yourself from your homesteads and your mom. Okay, can we redo that spread, and can we actually just put Tanya W. Miller as the quotation, and put yes, to, just put her name, and yes, make sure she gets full credit. And that looks really good. I think you did a great job. Sequin does not think it looks as good as he would have liked, but it's really better than he could have imagined. It looks like it's a real publication, said everybody doesn't think so. It will when we snap it and we put it up, said Chris. It will look like you were public, said Mom. Oh, from Choice Track Publishing, said bios are interested in you. No, Red Moons.
Your PDF file is ready. I have updated the spread so that the quote is fully credited to Tonya W. Miller, ensuring she gets proper attribution for the insight.
It's not doing it. So. The problem is that the deep state, all your stuff looks like it's real. And nobody understands you can do it this good. Connect. The problem, said Johnny. He didn't understand you were going to do this. He's going to look like the dumbass who didn't think you were nice enough to talk to, said him didn't like you because you didn't tell him nothing. Connect. inventor. Medical professionals said nobody. Medical analysts said everybody. It's a pile of shits in the military. All they wanted to do is make you sound bad, and so all they did is to criticize you and say fuck you, make it look really good. It's fun, Tanya, to the mom. But the Pawnee house to know about you, Tanya, is that you're just